The middle way, or the Eightfold Path, means that you don't indulge, but it's also not self-mortification. We find moderate approaches. Only when the body is in reasonable comfort and not overindulged does the mind have the clarity and strength to meditate deeply and to discover the truth. The middle way consists of the diligent cultivation of virtue, meditation, and wisdom. And here are the eightfold paths. And you'll see here, there's three in wisdom: right understanding, right thought, and right speech. And then he gets, or two in right understanding and right thought. Then we have ethics, right speech, right action, and right livelihood. And then the three under concentration: the right effort, right mindfulness, and right concentration. There are non-virtuous actions as well as virtuous actions. And they are split into three different areas. The non-virtuous actions are killing, stealing, sexual misconduct. In speech, it's lying, divisive speech, speech that divides people and causes them to think negatively about others, harsh speech, and idle gossip. And then there's non-virtuous actions of the mind. Just thinking is a non-virtuous action when you are craving, when you're involved in aversion, or when you're deluding yourself into thinking that you're more important than you are. Without virtue, it's impossible to perfect meditation. Without perfecting meditation, it's impossible to arrive at enlightenment, which is the purest form of wisdom. So it's the noble eightfold path that leads to happiness and liberation. The law of karma implies that we cannot escape the results of our actions. This is the same as what we learned in Hinduism. There are deeds of body, speech, and mind that bring harm to others, to yourself, or to both. And these deeds are called bad karma. Because they're motivated by greed, hatred, or delusion, they bring painful results, and we should avoid them. And then there are deeds of body and speech and mind that bring well-being to yourself, to others, or to both of you. And such deeds are called good karma. And because they're generated by generosity, compassion, and wisdom, we should engage in these acts as much as possible. Much of what we experience in our life, says the Buddha, are the result of our thoughts and actions and the karma that they generate. This philosophy places all of the responsibility directly on our shoulders, and the same as in Hinduism, not on a God who is going to save us, but on ourselves, that we alone are responsible for our happiness, for our well-being, or for our hatred and our sadness. In simple terms, you reap what you sow. The Buddha states that no being whatsoever, divine or otherwise, has the power to stop bad karma. There's no God that's going to save you. There's no creator God, period, in the Buddhist concept. And so consequently, the fact that one reaps what one sows gives us a greater incentive to avoid all forms of bad karma while doing good karma as much as possible. Though one cannot escape the effects of bad karma, you can lessen the effects of bad karma. And he gives an example, saying that a spoonful of salt mixed into a glass of water makes the water taste salty. But if you put that same spoonful of salt into a freshwater lake, you won't notice it at all. In the same way that if we conduct our lives creating gallons and gallons of kindness and good karma, one or two drops of salty bad karma are not going to spoil the mix. That in the end, it is an accumulation of one's deeds. And the Buddha recognized our human nature, our humanity, and that we're all going to make mistakes. But we shouldn't let that mistake, that singular mistake, or one of our weaknesses stop us from continuing to add good karma. And it's to focus on one's strengths, that each one of us has strengths in different areas. We can all contribute and give in very different areas and ways. And so we need to be able to recognize that we balance this, the good with the bad in our lives. This natural law of karma becomes the force, the reason, and the practice of morality and compassion in our society today. So this is the reason that we are kind. and moral and compassionate to each other. It's that what comes around goes around. And also when we eliminate the idea of self and that we're all one, what we essentially recognize is that what I do to you, I do to me. And so why wouldn't I offer a hungry stranger something to eat? Because it's the same as offering myself something to eat. It's only when we engage ourselves in the idea of self that we accept our differences. And when we think that we're different, what I do to you is just to you. But if we recognize that we are all one, and that we all come from the same one, and we will all be the same one, what I do to you, I do to me. And that is the reason behind the practice of morality and compassion. Now this gets into a little bit of the doctrine, if you will, called merit transfer. So a person gains merit throughout one's life by doing good deeds. And interestingly, this is a very convenient afterthought in Buddhism. So now you have all these Buddhist monks walking around the countryside, right? And they don't have anything. So they're hungry. They need food. They need shelter. They need people to help take care of them. And so this idea of accumulating merit now comes in, that you can get and gain merit by giving things to Buddhist monks, right? So if in fact you give food to an itinerant monk, you receive merit to yourself. If you give water and you help care for that person, tend to his wounds, you gain merit for yourself. And in this way, this practice allows Buddhists to live their lives, to approach enlightenment, and yet it allows the layperson who cannot or chooses not to give up his life or her life to follow the path, it allows that person to gain merit by helping those on the journey. And it's really the idea behind sponsorship today in the churches, isn't it? That we recognize, perhaps all of us here who are working for a living or retired from working long careers, that we didn't choose the path to enlightenment, but we believe in helping those who can, whether it's helping a young musician, helping a young student who needs a scholarship, whatever that might be, that we all believe in some form or another in helping those, and that by helping others, we're doing a good thing and gaining merit to ourselves. While Buddhism considers the liberation from samsara the ultimate spiritual goal, most people practice this idea of gaining merit by doing good deeds and by helping those who are on the path to enlightenment, because they may recognize that in this life, right now, they're not ready for enlightenment. But by helping these other people